Hi, hello, welcome everyone. My name is Adrian, and today's topic is being misunderstood as an autistic person. This is something that I think about a lot, but what really inspired me to make this video now is a TikTok that I saw recently, and I watched the video and immediately had a flood of thoughts come to mind, so I figured I could probably make a video about it. The way that it was expressed in the video just really resonated on such a deep level, so it's like, I just want to expand on this. But I also got to be honest and say that I've been procrastinating this video because it feels like such a vulnerable thing to talk about. Not that my YouTube channel already doesn't feel extremely vulnerable, because it does, but I regret not having saved my thoughts just for this video instead of talking to somebody about it first, like I did. Nothing too bad happened, but I'm just very sensitive, and when opening up about my experiences with being misunderstood and how that has impacted me, ironically, I felt misunderstood. Like, go figure. It's like, felt like I wasn't really being seen. It was like they didn't even understand the pervasiveness of this issue for me and how deeply it affects my self-esteem, self-worth, and the way that I feel comfortable interacting. It's like without saying it, I know you don't believe me when I say that I'm autistic and that what I'm speaking about literally has to do with autism. But you know, that being said, I am still making this video anyway because I am now in my era of not allowing anyone to stop me from expressing my vulnerability and authenticity. So I'm gonna play this TikTok for you all and give some more of my thoughts.
Part of the autistic experience is struggling to find the right words to articulate yourself and communicating what you're thinking like effectively and correctly. It can also be really hard to correctly interpret other people and identify the most important parts of what they're saying. Having lived with such frequent misunderstandings and all of the problems that causes, a lot of autistic folks end up with CPTSD. When I get misunderstood, I go into like a fight or flight response, right? And my amygdala is just firing on all cylinders, goes a little buck wild. So it makes it harder to think, to interpret, and to communicate. Fun. That was sarcastic. The part that's new to me is that masking can be, for example, not fidgeting, but masking can also be hypervigilance with communication and overcompensating for social challenges by feeling like you have to perfectly articulate yourself and perfectly interpret somebody else. And this is something that can happen with any person, almost especially with other neurodivergent people. But it's so hard because those are the people we feel understood by. In conclusion, words are hard. People are hard.
I'm pretty sure that I've already mentioned in a video before how I've felt chronically misunderstood for my whole life. If not here on YouTube, I've definitely talked about it on TikTok, probably more than once. And watching this video just really made me think, like, I really do think this specific experience has largely contributed to me having complex trauma. My fight or flight is definitely triggered when I'm misunderstood, even very simple misunderstandings where I could easily correct the situation, and it makes me panic. It's definitely harder to get words out. I usually start to stutter. I might even just shut down, and it's really embarrassing for me and just causes a lot of feelings of shame after the fact. And this point about masking that she makes is very important as well, like hypervigilance and overcompensating. This is the story of my life. I even made a TikTok somewhat recently about always needing to find the right words, like the perfect way to explain something. And in person, speaking to someone one-on-one, you only have so much time to come up with what to say, which definitely contributes to the reasons why I'm not the most talkative person. So I would say this overcompensation is extremely apparent for me in text conversations. There's actually so many times where I'm not like at all sure what a person is trying to say. Often I'm just sat there reading a person's message over and over again, just trying to make sure that I'm understanding correctly, so that I don't end up embarrassing myself. Like, I would be embarrassed to admit the amount of times that I've Googled what somebody has texted me just to make sure that I'm getting what they mean. And then in the same way, I also Google things that I'm thinking of saying so that I can be absolutely certain that I'm actually saying what it is that I'm trying to say. And asking for clarification is like an absolute last resort for me, because it feels so embarrassing to not know what someone is talking about. It's really bad in person though, because I'll just be there with like a blank stare, just like praying that this person keeps talking and providing more information before like I'm actually expected to speak, so that it's not this whole awkward thing. But then there's also just times when I have no idea how to respond, even if I understand everything that someone else is saying, because many times I just can't organize my own thoughts quickly enough. And all of this is so frustrating because, like, I understand that a lot of times I am being hypervigilant and overcompensating, but it's difficult to tell the difference between when I actually need to put in that effort because I otherwise would not be understood correctly, and when I could say something in a variety of ways and still be understood. Like, it would probably go well, and there's no real point of me straining myself trying to get everything perfect. The reason autistic people might have like CPTSD from this, fun fact, that's always hard for me to say. I don't know why. Like, I can say PTSD fine, but like for some reason when you add a C to the front of it, it's like I don't know how to say it anymore. But anyway, but it's because we've experienced very negative consequences from not getting things right in the past, from people misunderstanding us in ways where they believe we have negative intentions, that we're purposely being rude or mean or disrespectful or whatever it is when we're actually not, from not understanding other people and being made fun of because they thought whatever our interpretation was ridiculous, and we get made fun of, from just overall not having people get us, like them just entirely not understanding core aspects of our being. And it's really painful when other people can't understand the way you see and experience the world, because many times they don't even try to understand, and they completely invalidate your experience and shame you because they can't even accept that a person might have a vastly different experience than their own. I feel like this also contributes to the way that autistic people can also over explain things a lot, or always feel the need to explain all the little details. The details seem to feel more important for us than neurotypical people, because we actually need them to understand things and feel like everyone else needs us to give that as well for them to understand. I guess autistic people like to fill in the gaps more than us, and maybe just are more okay with that maybe not working 100% of the time. I don't know. I don't like guessing or making assumptions, because as an autistic person, you obviously just think differently, so chances are I'm not going to have the same thought process as most of the people a lot of the time. And that's why it can feel so hard to express yourself as an autistic person, because neurotypical people just don't get it. And for some reason that means they have to make you feel bad for it. And not everyone, okay? Just, it's the experience. People in general are just not good at accepting things that are different. We don't, as human beings, we don't like things that are different. It's scary, and then like the reaction to that is like, just like rejection, pushing away, but it's like, when you have the experience of people pointing out how weird you are and laughing at you and things like that, it's like from a very young age, I personally made the decision to severely limit my own expression. Like, my primary type of masking is, I think, what they call the blank mask, where you basically just suppress everything you might naturally do in order to keep yourself safe. Though I think it also largely has to do with just being overwhelmed by your environment in general. So I think it's also just my natural response to being exposed to the outside world. But I do think it quickly became my response to, the specific uncertain social situations because of the experience that I did have, where I felt like people were being mean to me or making fun of me, or maybe even certain things that I got in trouble for that I did. I feel like, yes, in general, autistic people really are largely misunderstood in general communication, but also in our very existence, because people have made our differences mean something negative. So it's kind of like, so it kind of just feels like people look at us and assume the worst all the time. I think that's why I also kind of feel like I need to be ready to defend myself or have the perfect script ready to keep myself from harm, like at all times. It's interesting because it's like, just before I saw that TikTok that I played in the beginning, I had been reflecting on why it is that I am always imagining situations where someone is being mean to me. I'm like, why do I do that? And it's always specifically about all the ways that someone might misunderstand me. I'm always planning everything out in my head, and obviously that's an anxiety thing, but it's like, wow, isn't it interesting how so often it's based around what I'm going to do if someone misunderstands me? And it's even down to the simplest things. Like, if I just need to ask someone a question, I have to sit there and think about all the different ways that I might ask that question, just in case the first option that I go with doesn't end up being clear enough. And it's not just about words. It's like, okay, if I go do this thing, what are all the potential negative things that people might think? And my brain just starts generating all these things that someone might say to me, and I have to think about what the best way to respond would be. And it's all so exhausting, and I'm really at this point in my life where I'm working on accepting the fact that people are not always going to understand me, and it might even be the majority of people who are never going to get me, and it's fine. The only reason it's so hard is because I've been allowing it to mean something about me when it doesn't have to. No one else gets to determine my worth. I don't have to let other people's responses to me mean that I'm the one that's doing something wrong and that there's something wrong with me that I need to fix. So if you've made it this far in this video and you can relate, I hope you know that you don't have to let the experience of being misunderstood mean anything bad about you as an individual. There is nothing wrong with you, and there are people who will get you and who will put in the effort to understand you and not shame you and make you feel like you need to be different than who you are. Because another thing is, I just think a lot of people are not willing to hear the truth that autistic people are more likely to express. Like, many people don't like the way that autistic people are willing to say what others aren't. They want to keep avoiding issues and literally see us as a threat to the structure of society, which just wants to continue upholding many injustices and atrocities in the world. So speak your truth and be in your authenticity, regardless of some people not liking it, because there are other people who need you to be yourself. You are important, and your experience and vision of the world deserves to be expressed as well. So thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed, if this resonated with you, if you relate to this, give this video a thumbs up, comment your thoughts down below, and subscribe to this channel, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.